Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we have a fascinating topic around wealth building, being a Christian, AI. AI has been a trending topic across the globe, but where does that lie for us in the future as Christians? AI is being used by these big banks as well as technology companies to really move things at a faster pace that we have never seen and experienced before. I'm able to build an app in a matter of minutes. I just think about something, put it inside of a prompt, and boom, it generates an idea out of nowhere. Process usually is you got to think about it, speak to someone like me, we design the interface, give it to the developer, and build it out. Now you could just think about it, takes that prompt and generates it to a working app. It may not be fully integrated with actual databases and all that extra tech stuff, but at least it's something you can tangibly play around with much faster than we ever have experienced before. When it comes to wealth building and management, you have these AI-based financial advisors now. Not that they're taking over the advisory business entirely, because there's unpredictable patterns in the market where a human still has to step in, because the market is based on a lot of emotions. We fear, we sell off our stocks or dip it somewhere else, then it creates opportunity for someone else. But when we get into this opportunity mindset, then we start buying things like crazy and it can make the market go up. Those human emotions aren't completely 100% be able to track by AI as of yet, but this is why hedge funds exist, because they're able to capitalize on things they can predict for the future. It's partially mathematical based. Like you got hedge funds like Renaissance, where they have statistically proven their methods to work, because every year they provide at least a 60% return over the past 3 decades, which is, I believe, a record across all the other hedge funds. Or where do we draw the line as Christians when it comes to how much we let AI overtake a lot of things? Because you have the risk of human beings losing their jobs. Technology is moving at such a fast pace that they are potentially at risk of losing their homes, their financials, because they can't adapt to how AI is actually evolving. So we're going to dive into some things I'm thinking about for the future, which can potentially benefit and help you. Like every technology, it has its hype, and then it has its stagnant phase, and it has its die down phase when it becomes a normal thing. Web3, in around 2021, NFTs and Web3. It's going to be the next thing. Even Meta rebranded its entire brand. But where is it today? It's just a normal thing. Crypto Web3 is not really going anywhere. It still has to evolve, but it's nowhere near to where it was hyped up to be. It takes time for that to evolve. Remember Amazon, early 2000s? It was this big hype. They're going to take over the world. And it didn't happen until like the early 2010s. Around 2016, 17 is when it really reached the point where it was accelerating, able to deliver on that promise. Because around 2014, 15, I was still ordering from eBay. They didn't have this fast-paced service that everyone was adopting to. It took some time to get there. It's the same way I feel. This is my predictions, my own assumptions, that AI is going to reach that stagnant point where it's no longer going to be this hyped up. There's not going to be a way for it to be so much faster and so much improved in the efficiency that it brings. It's going to reach a stagnation phase because we have limits. We have resources and they're at limitations at times. This is just how human behavior has always been over time. We come up with a new technology and we can't really make it much faster than that. Just look at cars. Cars can only go up to 250 miles per hour if you're using a fast car, but most cars will go up to like 100, maybe 150. Are we going to get at 1,000 miles per hour? It's not realistic. Or machines are going to be used to build to make cars that fast. Nobody's really going to adapt to it. We don't need anything that fast per se, because as we're traveling on the roads, that can cause accidents. We humans have limitations ourselves, and this is where I think with the speed of AI, they're hyping it up to be, we have to be very careful and remember that technology has its limits, but our God does not. Our God is the God of the possible, makes everything that humans think is impossible be the possible. That's the only thing that doesn't have limit, is our God. We have to build a constant relationship with God so that way we're not falling into this mental state that AI. Even me as a technologist being in the field, I have to pull away, make sure that every morning I'm not starting off my day with that. I'm starting off with the word of God, because that's what's true. And it's on his promise that we stand. No matter what happens, it's all going to work out for his good. So you got to restrain yourself from that anxiety and that panic and know that God has a plan for everything. No matter what the world is trying to sell you and bring forth to you, create this fear, just know that I got it all under control. That's it. So my wife just commented right there, and I'm going to include this in the video because she said that's right. And I need her as my hype man. So that verse is found in Matthew 19:26. Read that when you can. Always remember that God is a God of the possible. When it comes to your wealth building and creation, I don't think nothing you should think about that's going to fundamentally change. We still have to passively invest in things. We still have real estate, which is not going anywhere. We still have other asset classes like gold, as well as crypto too. I'm heavily invested in crypto. I actually reallocated one of my retirement funds. It was 50-50 stocks in crypto. I actually made it now 75% crypto based, and then the other 25% stock based. It was just something I've been thinking about. I've kind of been in the wilderness for the past couple of months, and in this contract, spending more time with God every morning. Hour of prayer, reading the scriptures, and sometimes you just have this gut instinct that comes out of nowhere, and this is where my instinct was heading to. It was like, this is the time now. I need to make that shift and put it all. It was what these scriptures was telling me as of this morning. As I was reading them, it was more like, you got to stay confident towards the one source. It was when Elisha was passing away, and he was telling the prophet to shoot the arrows through the sky as well as shoot the arrows to the ground. So instead of shooting it 6 times, he shot it 3 times. This is where we don't go out all the way. We kind of pull back a little bit because we have the hesitancy. We feel like that risk is not it. When God is telling you to go this way, in this particular way, this is how we have to go forth with that direction, without doubting ourselves, without doubting that insight that we're receiving, the wisdom that we're receiving from God, because we're only going to receive half of the blessing if we're pulling it halfway. And this is what I felt this morning. So I did this resource allocation towards doing things that way. But you have to really understand the markets, not to the point of these portfolio managers or these hedge fund managers. It's really just enough so that way you're putting your money towards things that are sounding to you from a Christian value standpoint, that is good, beneficial to others, and with the intent that you're going to be utilizing this wealth building powerhouse that you're creating to benefit others, helping others learn about what you're doing. Any gains that you do, you're giving it back towards the kingdom. And that's what we have to really remember when it comes to wealth building as Christians. We don't harvest it all for ourselves. We're doing it with an intent and an actual purpose to benefit others. We're in this to serve others, just like Christ when he came into this earth, washing the disciples' feet, catering to the different people, healing the blind, healing the sick. He was at a service to others, and we got to do the same, as well as leveraging the technology with AI. As we're coming up with ideas, as AI is giving us the power to create things at our fingertips, are we using it for the benefits of humanity, or are we just keeping it for ourselves, for our own riches? And this is where you got to limit yourself and not getting this greedy mindset, thinking that it's just about I, and also don't have this anxiety that I got to stay ahead or else everything, the whole world is going to crumble. But at the same time, don't make yourself so far back that you get left behind. You want to upkeep, but don't get to this point where you just so anxious and panicking that you forget that you are standing upon the word of God. That is your foundation. That is your source. That is your comfort. That's where you're leaning back onto. That is the reason why you're doing everything that you're doing. So do not forget that, as you got all these AI news being thrown at you left and right, all these different apps, the wealth creation that seems like it's at risk because of the fact that workers might potentially be displaced. Just know that God has it all under control for his will, for his glory, for his riches. And this is why we got to be patient. Whenever there's something new that comes about, seek God's counsel. Spend time with him. So that way you're not just following what man is trying to portray at you. They're not God. There's only one true God, and that's the God we serve. We don't want to make these things our God. We don't want to make AI our God. And that's the risk that all this possesses if we are sucking it all in and not paying attention to the word and spending time with God. And we can leverage these technologies as well, so that way we are doing things for the kingdom. So you can write things quicker. You could post very positive message that are more faith-based to others. As you're writing books, articles that are encouraging for other Christians, you can leverage these tools to help speed up your process. Create very inspirational videos for others to see. If you didn't have these skill set, it's another way to evangelize, leveraging these newer technologies. That's why I don't think we should completely pull back and be like, oh, it's not Christian based. No, these are just more tools. Remember, all things come from God. Even if it's man-made at some point, that wisdom did not come from man entirely. It came from God, who gave them the inspiration to eventually get there. The source of this world, No one can create an earth. Nobody has that capability, that mindset, or that wisdom to create another earth. Only God does. And that's why we are always going to be limited. That's why we got to lean upon that source that is way greater, that is much greater than we will ever be. And that is God. So when we lean upon him and not upon the things that we create and make those things our God, I think our world becomes limitless. And this is why God will step into your life, bring you a sense of creativity that you've never experienced before, to be able to do for those that can't do for themselves, to provide the same service as Christ did for us. Here's takeaway: AI at its best is a tool. It's nothing more than a tool. Think about your toothbrush, think about your computer. It's nothing but a tool that is available at our command. We have the power to control it, but don't let it control us. When it comes to wealth building, leverage it as much as you can. You could use it to gain insights in terms of what one company is doing, to make your sound decisions when it comes to investment. But your ultimate source from that should be from the Word of God, praying, building that relationship with God constantly. That is what you got to always remember when it comes to any new technology that comes about. And we can use it to spread the gospel. You can use it to create videos, to create memories of something, some content that people will cherish and remember much faster than we've ever been able to do. Because you may not have all these video skills before, but with AI, you could tell it something and it's going to create something that sparks. It brings new people with certain creativity mindset to be able to create certain things without having the actual skill set, because it's all in the mind and they just need to be able to interact with the tool and bam. And ensure everything that you're doing, whether it's your wealth building, whether it's you spreading the gospel, leveraging these tools, to know that you're doing it for God. You're doing it to serve people. You're doing it for his purpose, not your own. You're doing it for others as best as you can. So what do you think? How can Christians navigate this intersection of faith, wealth, as well as being a Christian throughout these times? Fast technology is moving at us in rapid pace. What are your thoughts? Please drop a comment below. I'd love to hear them. Like, share, subscribe. Of course, if you have any questions for me, definitely hit me up. Peace and love. Trust in Jesus. Have an amazing one.